What's up, everybody? This is more Rainbow Draft footage for you. This is from the most recent Rainbow Draft that we held this past weekend. This is the Deadpool draft. If you've seen any of the other draft videos, these are the first 6 packs that I've kept. If you haven't seen any of the other draft videos that I've done, the way we do our drafts in order to kind of speed along the process is we keep the first 6 packs instead of drafting them. And we use those as fodder for building our teams. So everything that you're seeing here is stuff that I could use that I pulled from those first 6 packs. I could use those as a base for drafting around. Kind of take a look at some of the things that I've picked up here. Nothing hugely amazing, no super rares, no shocking cards that break the game or anything like that. Some solid stuff, like that Hit Monkey is really good. I think that's one of the better ones in that pack, along with the Kid Pool that I pulled, which was the Dual Light Swords rare. I also got the common Kid Pool, which is also a really good one. One that I know I want to build around because of its really strong stat line when it gets buffed by having other Deadpool characters out. So draft round 1 begins, and my goal with this draft was to rare draft. So I was looking for rares, I was looking for hollows, basically the things that are hardest to find within just buying packs. That's what I was looking for. But I'm also an extremely competitive person. I like putting together teams and seeing if I can win with them. So I knew I wanted to see if I could both rare draft and win. And it actually created some points of contention for me during this draft. It made this draft a lot tougher than drafts that I've done before, because there was this sort of break within my mind of wanting to compete, but also wanting to pick up the cards that I know were valuable. So, for example, within this set, all 3 of those cards are hollows. The most valuable one is the hollow rare Taskmaster there. Looking through, I end up picking that hollow rare Taskmaster just because of the fact that it's impossibly hard. Not impossibly hard, but it's very hard to find hollow rares. They're only about 4 a box. So take the Taskmaster, and it's interesting, I actually have a rare Taskmaster already, but I can switch this one out since it's hollow and trade away that other one. So looking within the second one, and knowing what I can build around, I know I have a Kid Pool, and I know that's got great stat lines. So taking a Deadpool here is a pretty good option. This Angel Dust is extremely powerful. It's a 9/9 when you're behind on life, and you can manufacture your own behindness on life. This is a really good Bob, Agent of Hydra. It's the uncommon version that gives character dice fast. The Deadpool character dice fast. Everything else in here is pretty standard. There's a few that jump out at me. So that Deadpool, this Scarlet Witch rare, and I didn't have this rare. So this is certainly one that I like the idea of. I already pulled a Scarlet Witch before, so this would add me a second die as well. So that's definitely on my list. And this is where it became difficult for me. Already at round 2, I'm having to decide between if I want to stay with the rare drafting or if I want to put together something that I think has good synergy and will be tough to beat. So all of these 3 cards that I'm looking at right here have synergies with stuff I've already drafted. So does Scarlet Witch. She seems a little more control-oriented. The others seem more aggressive and buffing of similar cards. So I almost go Bob there, but I end up taking Angel Dust, which just has an amazing stat line. She's a 1/2/2 on her lowest side for 5, which is really poor, but if you're behind on life, she becomes a 1/4/4, and then her second field, or her second side, is like a 1/6/6 or something like that. It's pretty crazy. So first thing I look at in draft round 3 was a hollow uncommon Sandy Brandenburg. Got some other cards here. This is a good Agent X for stats. I like the uncommon better. This is a good Bob, Agent of Hydra. I already had one Bob, so this would allow me a second to die if I took that one. An interesting 7-drop Colossus there. MODOK, I'm not a fan of any of the MODOKs. Not a fan of Madam Hydra. Taking another Kid Pool would be interesting. There are 2 in this deck, so I know that it may not get taken because they're both in the same hand. I don't think the draft that itself was it didn't have a huge proliferation of one individual die. There were 3 or less of just about everything, which made drafting kind of difficult. There wasn't like 8 of something, which has happened in drafts before. So here I'm looking at the uncommon Sandy and the Bob, Agent of Hydra. And again, I'm thinking this Bob is going to work perfectly. I like this effect better than the uncommon one that I pulled from those first 6 packs. But an uncommon Sandy Brandenburg, and that's got a good ability as well. So I'm looking at the cards that I took and end up taking the Bob. So those are my first 3 picks. My first 3 draft rounds I felt really bad about. I felt like I didn't make solid decisions, or maybe not so much solid decisions, but I didn't feel comfortable with them because I was trying to rare draft and failing at it because I wanted to put together a fun team. So we've got Flying Car, we've got Miguel O'Hara, we've got Elektra, Lady Bullseye, which I do have 1 Elektra and 1 Lady Bullseye already, so those are both options. Here's a rare Black Tom Cassidy, and there's also a hollow rare Stepford Cuckoos here. I actually already have a rare Stepford Cuckoos, but hollow rare, again, is 1 in 4 in a box. So that's a good possibility. The other cards, looking at their possible synergies, I don't really need more of any of those dice. I already have 2 Angel Dusts because I pulled 1 from the first 6 packs. So I'd go ahead and take the hollow rare on that instance as well. And here's another interesting round. I've got 2 Shiklas, both synergize with Deadpool characters. I've got another Stepford Cuckoos, don't really care about that too much. Something about moving stuff to prep, which is kind of cool. I can force my opponent to move one of their characters to prep. But that might not necessarily be so good. It might be kind of poor, actually. Again, this was just the common Agent X. I'm looking for that uncommon Agent X. If I'm going to take an Agent X, it would be that uncommon version. None of these cards are jumping out at me as something that would be good, except, so I end up taking this Shikla. I don't have the uncommon. That was one of the, I think, 5 uncommons that I didn't pull from the box, and it does have some synergy with the other Deadpool characters in this team so far. I'm looking to add a Deadpool, if I can find a Deadpool, maybe 2. Next set, none of these really jump out immediately as we go through. Hey, there's the Agent X. That's a possibility. Oh, and here's another tough decision. I want that Agent X because it's got a 165, or maybe it's a 265 stat line on top. It's also a 154, which is really nice. It's got some great stats, and it's got a really cool ability. It's basically, it swings in for face damage, and then you pay 2 of your own life, and it goes to prep instead of going to use, and that synergizes with the Angel Dust because if I have Angel Dust and I attack with Agent X, I lose 2 of my own life, which can keep me down on the life count compared to my opponent, or at least relatively even with them. So I can manage that and keep her having that +2/+2 buff if I run her. So between those 2, I end up going with Agent X, even though the Hollow Uncommon is a tempting choice there. Round 7 begins. I liked these Black Bolts, and I liked all the Inhumans, honestly. I just wish I would have had the option to draft some of those early. Here, a great choice is that Deadpool. Common, Hollow Angela. Thinking about that, that's a possibility. Put that back in the no pile. That's how I run my drafts. I separate into yeses and nos. I like the Black Bolt. It's got good stats. I think I have 1 Inhuman character and die, so it doesn't exactly work too well. But it's a 4-drop compared to the 3 5-drops that I have, which is kind of harder to work around. It's easier when you have lower drops to purchase more, but over-purchasing in draft can be dangerous because of the lack of ramp, so it might not be the worst thing in the world to run 3 5-drops. The 3 here being Angel Dust, Agent X, and Deadpool. That Hit Monkey jumps out at me immediately. So does that Agent X, just for the die, for the sake of the die. Those 2, running a second Shikla is good. Hit Monkey, this would give me a second die for Hit Monkey, and it would give me a second die for Shikla. So the question then becomes, do I want 2 dice for a 3-drop Mask that has some affiliations, or do I want 2 dice for a 4-drop Fist that has the ability to swing for lethal. Or not swing for lethal, excuse me. Swing for unblockable damage if I pay a fist. I could really go either way here. It might actually be best to take this Hit Monkey, just to give me 2 dice of that. And it's a 4-drop, so you can purchase it back to back. Looking at the cards that I already have, I have 1 Shikla. I'm really kind of struggling to choose one of these 2. The team is sort of coming together in my head, but it's not really fitting as well as I would hope of what I exactly want to do. I know for one of my basic actions, I'm going to want to bring Ramp, so Superhero Registration Act fits that bill nicely. So I end up, let's see what I take. Eyeing that Hit Monkey, I end up taking that Shikla, though. At the very last second, end up taking the Shikla. Probably better to take the Hit Monkey there to have 2 dice of a 4-drop with okay stats, but that I can make unblockable. I have aggressive pieces already, so adding more aggressive pieces is pretty good. None of these cards are very good, so I end up taking the Hollow in this instance, just because it's a Hollow. Sandy, 2 more Deadpools. That's an easy pick. Just take the Deadpools. Take another die for that Deadpool, so now I have 2 dice to run with that Deadpool. And you may not buy 2 dice, but it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it. Motorcycle's terrible here. Satchel, it maybe work with. If I throw a BAC down, like Anger Issues, then I can use that Satchel if I purchase it, but in some weird way. Oh, the last pick, it was handed to me because you hand your last card in draft to someone, and it was Black Tom Cassidy. All right, so this is the team that I put together. I have Bob, Agent of Hydra, and Kidpool, and Shikla as my 3 3-drops. No 2-drops, which kind of bums me out, but I don't think there are very many 2-drops in this set, actually. So, and it's kind of interesting because that works well, I guess you could say. It works well with the new rule change where if you go first, then you have 3 dice that you roll. It's certainly something to think about, and I wonder if they actually thought about that while they were making this set, that rule change. Probably not, because they made this set so far in advance. I'm not sure, though. So Kidpool gets buffed by Bob being out and by Bob having his ability. Shikla allows me to spin Deadpool dice up or down. Hit Monkey is free damage that goes through if I pay a fist, which is nice. I have a lot of fist characters on this team. Not really going to buy that Satchel. I toyed around back and forth for about 5 minutes on either putting this Satchel in or the Stepford Cuckoos because of what it allows you to do, but ended up choosing this Satchel of Unlimited Weaponry just because I planned on bringing Anger Issues, which we'll look at in a second here. Deadpool, deadly, a decently strong card with a good ability that has some synergies. Agent X is in there. He's got some good stat lines, and he's easily cyclable if my opponent lets it through. And Angel Dust there as a finisher with just a huge stat line. My 2 basic actions are Anger Issues and Superhero Registration Act, and that completes my team. I didn't feel super confident in it. I think it has some pieces that are really good. Basically, I just feel like it has a lot of good stats. It's got a lot of value all over the team, and it synergizes well. It's fairly low on the curve, so I'm going to be able to buy everything, but I'm not sure exactly how it's going to play, and I don't know what my opponents put together, what kind of cards they got to see, because I feel like I saw decent cards, but not great cards. But then again, maybe that's just the set, or maybe everything got taken before it got to me. So we'll have to see and find out. So let's jump right into Game 1. Thanks for watching.